Thank you so much for having me. Just to comment on what you just said, just because we're leaders does not mean that we're exempt from the lessons that we're teaching other people. I mean, obviously, you're going to have a meltdown if you're trying to teach people about vulnerability, because the universe is trying to get you to learn that lesson too, you know? So just because you're a leader doesn't mean you're exempt from the lesson. I think that's something super, super important to remember. And it helps you ground yourself in your humility. So as Natasha said, I am a professional singer and performer of 20 years. I am a speaker. I am a wellness coach of 11 years, and I am the founder of a company called Fierce Academy, which helps people overcome stage fright. I also, for over half of both of those, wellness career and the music career, have struggled with crippling anxiety in both my professional and personal life. And because of that, that's why I created Fierce Academy and the Performance Mindset program, which helps people overcome stage fright and anxiety. And from that program today, I'm going to share some core values and some tips and tricks and tools that will hopefully help you develop a little bit more resilience to fear as well. So the first tool that I'm going to share with you is called what I like to call the trifecta A, and it consists of 3 actionable A's needed to develop any change in your life: awareness, acceptance, and adjustment. So I'm going to talk about kind of how that applies to fear. So people think that the hardest thing about fear is to face it. Would you say that that would be the hardest thing for you? Okay. What's actually the hardest thing about fear is to first see it. Fear has a really good way of hiding from us, and we have a really good way of hiding from fear because it makes us feel afraid. So the first kind of milestone that we have to reach before we can even face fear is to see that it exists. So the first step is awareness in discovering your fear. The second step, and this is a step that a lot of coaches miss, is acceptance. So you can fully be aware then that you have fear, and you're like, okay, I see my fear, and then completely deny that it exists. And be like, no, not going there. So the second step in being resilient to fear is developing this acceptance for the fact that we actually have it. Welcoming it in, putting our armor on it, saying, okay, I understand that fear has a fundamental function to keep me alive. And not only that, but like I wouldn't be human without my fear. So I accept myself as a whole person, which is a person with fear and flaws and failures. The third step, once you become aware of your fear and then you can accept it, only then can you adjust it. And that's where the real change happens. And adjustment strategies look like all kinds of things to all different types of people. It's a multi-pronged, malleable approach. It's not just one thing, it's not just one formula, and it changes. So what might have worked for you in the past might not work for you in the future. So it's a multi-pronged approach. Some of the methods that I endorse are, of course, yoga, meditation. I don't know where I would be without that. Breathing, therapy, community, which Gina is going to talk about, and I can't wait for that. These are all things that can help you manage your fear, but there are 3 rules that I'm going to bust for you today that can get in the way of you managing fear, no matter how much support you have, and no matter how many methods you have to sort of manage that anxiety. So these 3 rules have to do with mindset. And the first one... Hold on. Who knows what a rule is? Oh. Shout it out if you know what a rule is. Bullshit rule. Bullshit rule. And if you don't know, it's right up there. All right? It's a bullshit rule. We swear, right? Yeah, it's a bullshit rule. So this is a bullshit rule. Being afraid or brave. The idea of being afraid or brave. Those 2 things are not binary. Matter of fact, you need fear in order to be brave. Otherwise, you have nothing to be brave about. Okay? So that's a rule. Fear, we get this idea in our society like that we need to be fearless. First of all, that's not going to happen because we're human. So we already talked about that part. But fear is not this weakness that's meant to be extinguished. It's an opportunity. It's a tool. It's a catalyst for something that makes you better and braver and stronger. So the solution to this feeling of needing to be brave or afraid, this rule, is to actually accept that you have fear, and then that's the first step to being fearless in the first place. Second rule is practice makes perfect. Practice gets you ready. Perfect is the perfect path to self-destruction because it's not sustainable to live perfectly. We're human.
Hear, hear.
Yeah. Perfectionism is the ultimate defense against rejection. So if you're living with this expectation that you need to be perfect or that you can be perfect, chances are what you're doing is you're cutting yourself off from your authenticity because you can't have perfectionism and authenticity at the same time. If you're cutting yourself off from authenticity, then you're not vulnerable, and if you're not vulnerable, then you're not going to be able to connect with yourself, your clients, or your audience. The fastest way to connect with yourself or your audience or your clients or just a human on the street is to be human too. So the solution for perfectionism is this mindset here. Try not to bend yourself into perfection to change the perception of others so that you're liked by them. Instead, try and change the perspective or the perception of yourself so that you're liked by you. That will help you not try to be perfect. That will help you not be afraid of rejection because you'll no longer be rejecting yourself. Third rule, vulnerability is weak. We already know that that's not true. If the statement vulnerability is weak is true, then it takes a really, 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 really strong and brave person to be weak. It's one of the most empowering things that you can do for yourself to accept the present moment and feel exactly what you're feeling, whether it's really, really good or whether it's really, really bad. Either of those scenarios takes a lot of bravery and is not weak. The solution for feeling like vulnerability is a weakness is to actually just choose courage. And I say choose courage because it's not just this thing that we're born with. It's not in our DNA. Certain things are going to be harder from one person to the next, depending on what their past triggers are and what they've gone through. But courage is a choice. And sometimes you have to choose courage over and over and over and over again, every single second. But the point is that every single second, there is an opportunity to choose either courage or comfort. And neither is wrong, but either of them are going to produce different results. So to love yourself fully, to really, truly ground yourself in vulnerability and to feel the strength and the bravery that takes, it's choosing courage. And I want to just end on this last thought. Courage to accept vulnerability, to be present in the present moment. That is kind of the only space that you can really achieve self-love. Because self-love isn't just, okay, let me fluff my feathers for all the things that I'm awesome at and make myself feel good about that. That's cool. That's great for your confidence. But actually self-love is being able to understand that you're a whole person with your darkness and loving that thing. You being able to love your flaws and your failures and your fears and getting right with that piece, that is self-love.
Yes, girl.
That is being able to be present right here, right now. That is vulnerability. That is courage. Thank you very much.
Janey Brown! Janey Brown!